Greetings from Bridgetown, Nova Scotia. I'm on Granville Street, the home of an artist who lives in a church. Her name is Dawn Oman. Hello, Dawn.
Hello, welcome to my house and gallery and concert venue and yard sale venue. Dawn Oman, artist, born in Yellowknife and now living in Bridgetown and owner of this lovely old church, which we have converted to our house and art gallery and concert venue, etc., etc. We have numerous events that go on here. But this used to be the United Church, built in, I believe it was 1872. These are not original windows to when the church was actually built. These windows were gifted in about the 50s, I believe. I bought this building, 8 years ago. It had been on the market for just over 3 years. I bought it 3 weeks before it was scheduled to be demolished.
How much does a church go for?
Well, it depends on the church, I suppose. When I got it, the walls were kind of crumbling, the windows were falling out, the basement was starting to flood. It was quite a bit of a mess. It took us 1.5 years to gut the building to the studs. So it was just walls and a roof, and then we rebuilt it from the ground up. We insulated the building, all 7,000 square feet of it, with spray foam insulation. Hi, baby! Put in 5 heat pumps, had thermopane windows built, and put in 2 wood stoves. Hello! And and started putting it all together, choosing our colors, and where's the bedroom, where's the kitchen. During that time, I was painting as well, like wherever I could fit my 6-foot drafting table, that was my studio. I've taken over the whole balcony as my studio upstairs. So those painted panels you see, I can just remove those easily, and that's all clear glass. Like we extended from the original balcony. Once we built these bathrooms here, and put the ceiling on, then it was kind of like a no-brainer. That has to be extended balcony. So we extended the balcony out. There's the kitchen.
Wait, what is this? Oh, it's your cupboards?
Yes, my cupboards.
Oh, and did you know when you bought the place that you were going to move in as a
most
home?
Definitely.
That was the plan?
Yes, most definitely.
And were you looking for a church, or were you just looking for a...
No, I wasn't. I was actually planning on selling the farm and moving to Lunenburg, thinking, oh, it's artsy-fartsy, right? I didn't know anybody. I'd only been here maybe 2 years. My husband died, and so then I was going to move away. I was having a yard sale a year after he passed away, and a man came to my yard sale and said, oh, there's a place in Bridgetown you might like. And I'm like, no, I don't want to live in Bridgetown. It's like 7 minutes from my house. Who moves 7 minutes, right? So I didn't look at it. And then one day my realtor came to the farm and had a showing for me. And so I said, well, take me to 298 Granville in Bridgetown. So he did. And when I walked in, I was like, oh my God, it's a church. And the windows, they're my colors, right? It's art. And I just went, oh my gosh, where do I sign? I mean, the walls were all white. There was all the red carpeting. There was all the pews. It was still very much looking like a church. But
Crazy.
The fellow that told me about it and we actually hooked up. And we're together ever since, and he's a carpenter, but when I met him, he was a nurse. And all the renovations we've basically done ourselves. And we hire companies to do like the spray foaming or the big jobs like that. He actually built the staircase out of the seats of the pews and inlaid bird's eye maple. Isn't that cool?
Wow.
You can take a walk up there and have a look from upstairs. And downstairs, of course, we have the exact same amount of space as upstairs.
If you're ever selling, where are you? Okay, so tell us about your art.
I started painting when I was about 5, and I never had like an art class in my life. I just do whatever I want, whatever makes me happy. Wherever my imagination goes, wherever my paintbrush takes me. And I always tend to use the same kind of colors. I have my own palette that I prefer. And somehow you would think that if you're using always the same colors, it will look the same. But somehow it doesn't. I paint every day when I'm not terribly busy. But I also design in the Canadian giftware industry, and I've been doing that for over 22 years with major companies in Canada that do all the mass production, the distribution.
How long have you been earning a living as an artist?
Well, I became a licensed artist, what was it, about 1998. I've been selling it on my own ever since I was like 16, so a long time, a lifetime you might say.
Is the organ still functional?
1902 Cassavan pipe organ, over 700 pipes, and we have one more thing to be done to it, and then it will be in working order again. It has very much upkeep because it's so old, and there's not too many people that can fix these kind of organs, but we have a friend, Colin Walsh, whose business is called Acadia Pipe Organs, and he goes around to churches and does repairs and this and that.
And how do you find it for privacy? Say if you're at home and you want to go and read somewhere, and your husband's at home or your partner's at home and he wants to work with his drill.
It's a big house, it's 7,000 square feet. He can do whatever he wants, I can do whatever we want. When we want to get in touch, I usually phone him. Because I'm not going to run around all this building, where are you, where are you? I just phone him.
So you what's downstairs?
Half of it is the woodworking shop with all the tools that create all this. And then the other half is another kitchen, bedrooms, bathrooms, dining room, living room, sitting room, storage rooms. But the downstairs isn't finished to this degree. It's all been spray foamed. We are now starting to work on the bathroom downstairs. I put in the shower and this and that. And we have a temporary kitchen put in case, like we have guests downstairs right now, visitors. So they're just down there, and they can cook and clean and everything because the washer and dryer is there, and they have their own entrance. And like, come see this.
Have you thought about a B&B yet?
We did B&B, or it was Airbnb, I should say. But we found that we weren't getting enough traffic, and for the amount of work involved for a one-night stay, it just wasn't worth it. And it was like they rented the whole floor for a night, and they could have access to all our stuff, our instruments, and the kitchen, of course, and everything. But it just was way too much work, and so we stopped that. And that's when I changed the whole upstairs into my studio, because it used to be a sleeping area for guests. There was an ensuite up there too.
And normally you said you don't usually have these tables out?
No. Normally we don't. I'm helping a lady clean out her shed and sell all her treasures.
So it's an impromptu pop-up yard sale.
Yes, it'll be going on until June 25th when we have our next concert. And the next concert is going to be, who is it going to be? Oh yes, Classic Duets. So that's going to be nice. They've actually performed here before.
And where do they perform? Right up there
the
at the front.
Painted cupboards.
Oh, I would have missed that.
Art everywhere. Obviously there was no plumbing here because it was all pews. And so, he drilled holes in the floor and like everything. He's meticulous in his work.
Where's your washer and dryer?
Downstairs. And there was no electricity, no bathrooms, no nothing. Just a big, huge pile of mess. Because we were tearing everything down. Everything had to come down. So when people come to perform, they go up on the stage that used to be the altar, of course. And this is all our own instruments. We collect vintage guitars and interesting guitars.
What do you play?
The radio. Neither of us are musicians. But there was a fellow up in Antigonish who was hoping to open a blues cafe, and I'm not quite sure why he didn't, but he had all the instruments and the lighting and everything and lots of, speakers and such. And so we kind of bought everything off of him, and that got us started. Once you start taking the guitars, I think there was 25 guitars in that first sale, and we started taking them to our luthier. Then, of course, over the years, he's like, oh, I've got this guitar, or I know somebody who has that guitar, and a ka-ching, ka-ching, you buy another one. My polar bears, they just arrived from Shanghai last week. Mama bear's over there and baby bear's over here. They were built for a fashion show in Shanghai at the IAPM shopping mall. They build these huge installations. The polar bears were part of that. When the show was over, I said, please ship them to me all the way to Vancouver and have them trucked from Vancouver to my backyard, please. And they did. Of course, that was a very expensive shipping bill.
Do you make the fabric?
It's a company called Canada Blankets, and I've been designing with them since 2010. It was quite funny, actually. I was at the Olympics in Vancouver, and I had a booth, and I had just designed a Coca-Cola bottle, for Coca-Cola, and I had a table like this with all my art on it, and this lady comes running over with her husband, and she says, this is the artist I was telling you about. You have to talk to her. And so it turns out he's the president of Canada Blankets. And so, of course, after the show, we had meetings and contracts were signed, and now I design for Canada Blankets. And I just sent them 11 new images, so we're going to have more blankets in production as well as towels. Yes, these are more like the beach towel type things. So eventually I hope to find somebody that does like all the fabrics and the t-shirts and stuff like that for me.
Do you have a favorite piece of artwork of your own?
It changes. Some days I'm in love with one thing, and then the next day I'm in love with something else. Or maybe I have an idea and I think, oh, this is going to be the one. But I think one of my recent ones that I quite enjoy is the Leaping Rabbit, the bee and bunny. I'll show you my number 1 and number 2 pieces that everybody seems to just love. The 3 Dories. I think that's going to be my next, one of my blankets that will be coming out. And this one over here is called Wild Exuberance. These 2 are like my top sellers right now.
What's it called?
Wild Exuberance.
Wild Exuberance. Is it the one size, or do you have different sizes?
Well, that's the original. Canadian Art Prints, who is my publisher in Vancouver. The largest they do her is 2436, and then we do it smaller canvases as well, and then framed prints and art cards, of course, and magnets. No. I can't remember if she's on the magnet or not. Not all of those are available anymore.
Okay.
Some were quite early works. And the Canadian North magnet, there I designed the logo for Canadian North Airlines.
Oh my gosh.
So they just sold to First Air, so the logo's going to be changing. And then Oscardo, another company I designed for, does like everything from the jewelry to the wallets, the umbrellas. Again, thousands of products, mugs, you name it. Tons of stuff. But come outside and see the deck.
Okay. Do you cook on this?
Yep.
You really do?
Yep.
How do you...
How do I do that? Scott's got his tools on there right now. Obviously, we're not cooking anything at the moment. But the wood goes in, this lifts up, the wood goes in there. And the oven part is in here. You can cook in there if you like. And usually I just cook on top when it's nice and hot, and always warm my dishes in here.
And it would warm up the house really well too.
Well, not really well. The thing is, this is an original stove. I'm the 3rd owner in 40 years. We're having another stove built down in the States, and it should be here by the end of the month. Bigger, better, airtight, though this one isn't as airtight as I would like it to be. And so I think for a space this big, you need something to...
Okay, finally we'll get outside. Wait, is that a cat tree back there?
Yes, that's Sylvester. I spoil him. Can I say? Oh, there you are. I thought you were outside. He's looking at me. He's got his favorite places. That's one of his beds. Sleepy time? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take you down into one of our sea cans and show you what we just acquired from a church in New Brunswick. St. John, New Brunswick? Yeah. Now, the church was called St. Peter's, and it's going to be demolished. Colin, the guy that works on our organ, had a source where we could get lots of tin ceiling to do our ceiling. And then we decided that no, we shouldn't do our tin ceiling because it might affect the acoustics. He also said there's these mosaics in the church. The church is going to be bulldozed or imploded or whatever. And would you like to have a look at them? He sent us pictures of these mosaics, and they had been under gyprock. But now come see this. Scott drove up there with 3 guys, and they worked like maniacs. And check this out.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Look what the kind of shape they're in. They're beautiful.
They were preserved behind gyprock. I guess in the 50s, gyprock was smoother surface than the mosaics or whatever. Who knows for what reason why they were covered up. And the one behind you is the loaves and fishes. You have to excuse the tools. This is usually where we keep all our tools. But we're going to put these, this one's going to go in our dining room downstairs. And the Madonna and Jesus are going to go in the gallery. But we have to build a special wall because these weigh a ton. So, isn't that incredible?
That is incredible. I wonder what who the artist was. Was it multiple?
We're trying to find out. We think it was conceived in Italy and then shipped over with Italian artists that would put this together. You know what I mean? Because this isn't just some random thing. It's really like a professional piece of work. Glass. It's glass. Glass mosaic. I can't wait to see them up.
Yeah, that's going to be stunning. Wow. Any tips for anyone thinking about buying a church to live in?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, it's so much work. I mean, the rezoning is first thing, of course, and then you have to renovate it to get it up to code because churches generally were not insulated. They were not built as a house. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So I would just say, think really, really hard about it. You're going to spend, anywhere from, depending on the size of the church, in renovations alone, you could go as high as you want, really. Have deep pockets, I would say. Don't be an artist and buy a church. But somehow it works out, so that's good.
And you're happy here? Yeah.
I like it. I think I found my home.
Great, your gallery.
We recently just put in a tin ceiling, and it was right here where Colin and Scott and I was showing Colin the tin ceiling. That's when he said, I know where you can get tons of tin ceiling. They're going to tear down this church. And we were like, oh, yay. But and then we decided to focus on the mosaics and get those instead.
Where'd you get that?
I was asked to design the cover for the Standards Council of Canada one year, and I was the first Indigenous person to ever do so, and that was the recognition award they gave me. I'm actually from Yellowknife, born in Yellowknife. My background is Chippewan, Welsh, Finnish, and Russian. Canadian. But I have full status, so go figure.
That's sweet.
But yeah, you see the polar bears a lot in my work, and the northern lights and the snowflakes. But since I moved down here, it's branching out more into the dories and the fish and the lighthouses. And the recent things I'm doing is a bunch of my women paintings. I have an exhibit planned for July next year. So I have to work that far in advance to get a show ready. A coin I designed for the Royal Canadian Mint, 2003 Festivals of Canada series. Every province had a coin done as part of this series to celebrate Festivals of Canada. And so that one was for the Great Northern Arts Festival in Inuvik. Here we've got puzzles, face masks, large mugs, hats, card sets, purses, wallets, notepads, coasters. I also designed a book for Nelson Education, grade 1, called I Do Good Things. So I did all the illustrations for this little book. And you can see the originals on my website. They're for sale. DawnOmanArt.com, I think. Lots of magnets, umbrellas, of course, tons of paintings. And I paint pottery as well, and then I have it all fired in a kiln. Oh, one thing more. Watch this. Like this. The bell. This bell is the original bell to the United Church. It was 50 years older than this building.
It's amazing. So on the hour, every hour, do you?
No, only when it's dinner time.